You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marcy Persky. Sooner or later, any bad thing you do, any terrible thing you think, we've probably already confessed to it. How does it feel to be goatless?
Sad.
Aw.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sad. I miss my babies. Now I don't know what to do with banana peels. I'm saving them.
And you're
Because
going
I
to...
can go visit whenever it stops raining.
That's what I heard. You get to drive like a mile and a half and just... Although, if you get pulled over and you have a giant bag of banana peels, how will you explain this to the local constabulary?
Well, I think I told you I got pulled over a couple of years ago with like 50 cats in the back of my car.
I seem to remember
And the
this.
cop immediately, as soon as I rolled down my window, the cop said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm taking these cats back to our sanctuary." And he said, "I'm allergic to cats." And got back in his car and left. So hopefully I'll find the cop that's allergic to banana peels.
There are some very interesting cop repellent methods. The spousal unit hit a skunk one time, and he was driving a little too fast, and they pulled him over. And the cop goes up to him and says, the trooper asks, what's your hurry? And the spousal unit says, "I'm just trying to get the stench off my car. I hit a skunk a little ways back." And the spousal unit says, you could watch his face sort of change as he was speaking. And he goes, "Yeah, that's coming on. That's coming on now. Have a good night." Off he goes. So there should be, they have all kinds of repellents. I mean, there's deer repellent and there's dog repellent. What? Cop repellent.
Bear repellent.
Which one? Bear. Oh,
Cop
yes, bear spray,
repellent.
bear repellent. Cop repellent.
Cats.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, God, I can't even tell you how bad it was. Actually, they were piled up in the truck in
Yeah, it'd
little
been
crates.
a hoarding situation, as I recall.
Yes.
So none of them had been able to really clean themselves or take care of themselves very well.
No, they were in crates and they were pooping and puking and everything else, and it was bad. It was so bad. I'm so grateful still to this day that I didn't have to sit there while he looked up my license, my registration, and if there were any warrants out for my arrest. And he'd stop me because the little light over my license plate was burned out.
Really?
Talk about being bored. Yeah.
Yeah, that really is. I've been pulled over in a very fancy suburb for having an improperly illuminated license plate. But what that really means is your car looks like crap, and you shouldn't be in this neighborhood with a car that looks that bad.
Well, I think he was expecting, because I was driving Clifford, the big red truck, which is a hugely, massively lifted F-150. And I think he was expecting, a couple good old boys with open alcohol in the truck.
Yeah.
Steady.
Yeah.
It was just one old lady with
50 cats.
50 cats.
Yeah, that would work, though, the cat thing, especially if they're allergic. Speaking of puking, I don't know why I've never shared this criteria before, because it's not new to me, but one of the most responded to things that I have posted on my social media recently is that I coached the small cutie about dating, and I said, now be sure that when you are even considering marrying someone, that you ask yourself, if I'm puking and I can't make it to the toilet, will this person clean up for me? And people are like, that's the best advice. And other people are writing, I broke up with someone because they wouldn't do that. I was sick. And I just thought to myself, how is it that people have grown to adulthood without ever having been in this situation before? I mean, doesn't everybody at least once get so sick that they can't quite get to the receptacle?
I would think so.
And who?
I mean, especially if, you don't have a bathroom connected to your bedroom. I'm more of a puker than Frankie, I have to admit. Actually, he's been more of a nurse to me in the last 18 years as far as surgeries, puking, anything falling off the deck.
Is he sort of into that? Is like a turn on that he has a thing about a wife who's just sort of falling apart?
Um, I think he feels more like a protector
Ah,
as opposed to falling apart wife.
I see. I see. He likes that superhero cape thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, I
And
was
so do I.
yeah,
I like being on the receiving end
well,
of it.
that works. I was talking with a guy I'm really good friends with to this day. I dated him for 3 years, I think. Every now and then, if you're friends with your exes, you sort of have those moments where stuff comes up and you say, did we not work out because X or Y or Z? And he's had some therapy, and his conclusion about one of the reasons why we didn't work out was that he needed someone to protect and who really needed him. And in point of fact, I'm fine, thank you, just fine.
Well, everybody in my family and in my immediate surroundings know that I can't deal with anything involving blood.
True.
So when Frankie actually cut off a chunk of his finger, I was home throwing up while Molly was driving in the left-hand turn lanes the whole way to get him to the hospital. And he doesn't hold that against me. But my kids all grew up knowing that if there was something bloody, they take care of themselves.
There are things that kids need to learn that are traditional parent activities that you may have a parent who just cannot fulfill them. In my case,
yeah, mine is blood for sure.
Oh yeah, blood for sure with you. Mine is don't surprise me. Like don't jump out and yell boo at me ever for any reason or you may die.
Frankie did that to me camping once and I peed my pants for like real. And he keeps reminding me of it all the time. And it was like 15 years ago.
You really peed your pants? That's really
when
something.
you're out camping.
What's the matter with you? Don't you know better? You're supposed to just punch him in the face. That's what I do. That's what I did to my poor kid.
I did it. I peed.
Okay.
I admit it now because it was so long ago.
Eventually, in this podcast, we'll have admitted to everything: murder, child abuse, peeing your everything that you can do wrong will end up having been admitted to somewhere in this. If you're one of those world religions that believes in going to confession, you don't have to. You just listen long enough, and we will confess to whatever it is you did. And then you can feel better. You won't really have to confess because clearly we're okay, mostly. What did somebody just admit to the other day at dinner?
I come from a long line of people routinely talk about poop when they're eating. Everybody talks about poop. And I'm the only one that says, I don't want to talk about this while I'm eating my food. But yes, I come from a big poopy talk family.
Huh. Yeah. Sooner or later, we'll cover it all. We'll admit to everything. We'll cover everything. See, but now we've come full circle because if somebody talks about that while I'm eating dinner, they'll end up having to clean up after me. So
that's still like one of my big dementia worries is that I will spill all the secrets.
I know.
I won't know who you are, but I'll tell you everything.
I'm waiting for that moment because there are a couple things I'd like to know.
Yeah, I am more often going into a room and not knowing why I'm there.
Well, that's because there are fewer things to do when you go into rooms now. You just
That's true.
There's less we need to be doing. I've decided because since this relative died, my whole house just kind of went to hell in a handbasket because I was dealing with this other house. So I've come to the conclusion that I can only deal with one house. And I've also come to the conclusion that, great, my house went to hell in a handbasket and I lived. So there. The toothpaste, the layer of toothpaste, there's always a layer of toothpaste around the toothpaste receptacle, right? No matter where you keep your toothbrush. And I used to just assiduously get rid of it with a scrubbing sponge the second it was visible. By the time I actually got around to it this time, you could have used it as part of an ant farm, you know, like the walls that redirect the ants. Remember the ant farm? I could have had an ant farm on the edge of my sink because the wall of toothpaste glop was about half an inch high at that point, and it didn't kill me.
There's always toothpaste little spatters on the mirror in the bathroom. Always.
Yeah.
I'm always cleaning them off. No one else does. No one else must see them.
Well,
And I want to know how they get there because you have to be pressed up pretty close to that big giant mirror.
no, you just take your electric toothbrush out of your mouth a little faster than you turn it off.
You know what? I use an old school toothbrush
Oh.
because I don't like the noise. Electric toothbrushes. It's some picky thing but the noise just like really creeps me out and makes my hairs all stand up.
What about the noise of the dentist drill that you get more often
Oh,
if you don't?
Don't ask me when the last time I was at a dentist. We won't discuss that right now. That's another one of the confessions that people will be listening about in this podcast.
What could be worse than the time you dropped your bridge down the porta john at that Grateful Dead tribute concert?
No, it was Dave Matthews.
Does it really? Does it matter?
No. Well, yeah.
It does?
Yeah, because I think most of Grateful Dead's dead.
Right. No, but I'm not really thinking about the band. I'm thinking about the bridge and the.
Yes, I dropped my 2 teeth. It was 2 teeth, and I still have them. Like, I'm too embarrassed to go back and get them replaced because, yes, I put it in
a Kleenex
in my pocket, which I should have known better because I had a retainer that I used to throw away all the time at school because I would put it in my pocket to eat. And my husband
punctuation. You were not eating your retainer.
No, I'm not eating my retainer. I would eat lunch in the cafeteria and put the retainer in my pocket. Frankie said that he spent half of his school days going through garbage looking for his retainers.
That's probably when you fell in love.
Excuse me, but he was well out of school when we met.
No, just that you had this shared history of throwing out your dental
losing our retainers,
your dental apparatus.
I thought you were implying that I was his babysitter.
No, usually I do. Yeah, that's true.
I know you do.
That would have been my MO. That's true. I'm sorry, I missed that opportunity. That blew right by me until you pointed it out. Yeah.
Okay, so
yes.
Here's something. Here's something I learned.
Yes.
That my dog, the new one, Jerry Dingus Garcia,
the Wolfhound mix.
The Wolfhound, yes. Can open my front door, and when he does that, he runs over to the fence where Eve's rabbits are.
Oh no.
And just like bangs his head on the fence because he wants the rabbits.
This is not going to end well, you know.
Well, he can't get through the fence
today
because it's a fence.
Today.
Well, no, it's not a flimsy fence.
Yeah.
It's like it's a fence made of. It's not chicken wire. It's like wire.
I got it, but you know, your husband would really like that dog to go elsewhere.
He'll like him in 2 years.
Do you? Is that the curve? Takes 2 years.
The 2-year curve. Next year, he'll be so much better. And then the year after that. I mean, he's learning stuff.
Oh,
but
see,
I didn't intend for him to learn to open the door.
I'm at the wrong end of this equation. I'm thinking there's something about your husband that takes 2 years to like a dog that would be not any dog, but the kind of dog that you would adopt. I'm just thinking any kind of monster dog that comes to the house, the curve before Frankie decides that he loves the creature is 2 years. How long did you guys date before you were an item? You were friends for like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. Any difficult creature, anything that's just going to be a pain in his ass from morning till night, if you give it 2 years, all of a sudden he loves it, protects it, wants to let it sleep in the bed with him.
Yeah. Unless it's a goat.
Goats are just, yeah.
The goats I had for 6 years.
Out of your mind.
I think that goat poop might be good for growing stuff. I could sell their poop out of the backyard. There's 6 years worth.
You had 6 years to do it.
6 years worth of poop.
You had 6 years to do it. Did you? No, you did not.
But yeah, that's all that's going on with me. That's my life.
I'm glad that there's no blood involved. That's what I have to say. Oh, does animal blood do the same thing to you as people blood?
Yes. Any blood. Blood is blood. Blood is red. Maybe if it was blue, it wouldn't make me sick, but if it's red, it does.
Horseshoe crabs have blue blood.
Okay.
It's a useless factoid. I just, maybe we'll just quit right there. Horseshoe crabs have blue blood.
Thanks for listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. We're glad you found us, and I hope you'll find my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air. It's all true, but I've changed the names of the people and the radio stations and a bunch of other stuff because I'd prefer not to get sued. You can find it at your neighborhood independent bookstore or on Amazon.